Alright, I've got the sun directly behind my head. Welcome back, guys, to the Seth Rhodes Show. I am right down by the Columbia River here in October 2023. This is beautiful. The weather's perfect. The colors are reds and yellows and the best combinations of autumn colors here in the Columbia Basin. Well, as usual, I'll talk a little bit about my thinking on finances, personal finance, education related to that. So I have been working hard at my day job, and when I have a chance, I listen to podcasts for entrepreneurship and financial education in general. So my current kick is on Jaspreet Singh, who his website's called minorityMindset.com. He's got me rethinking all kinds of things, filling me with awesome information. So shout out to him. That's super great company and super great. I think he's a great person. Very, very informative. He's even got a sense of humor as well, so that's great. And the last 48 hours, maybe 72 hours, I have been wrestling with what would it take. No, it's not even what would it take. It's more like how long will it take to get me through the barriers that it takes to be an entrepreneur. And that's definitely not the question to ask long term. The question to ask is, what did I learn from my last entrepreneurial venture? Now that I think of it. So let's take a look at what I did last. The last time I was a business owner, which was sort of on, it wasn't on track to be much of an entrepreneur journey, but there are some lessons that I don't be too hard on myself. There are some lessons from my landscape business that do pertain to entrepreneurship. So at one point I did have an employee, good friend of mine, and that taught me a lot. It taught me some of the hardest lessons really is if you have a poor plan and you hire other people, your poor planning could affect them. Just the way if you were doing a good job, your plans would benefit your employees first. Like that's what you would want. So anyhow, other lessons I learned. Well, it's okay to be an infant in your industry and kind of an infant in infant stages of business ownership, but pair those things together and it's extremely hard. I would have recommended myself work under someone else for my day job in that industry, landscape industry, before launching out on my own. That makes sense. I'm extremely proud of myself that I did not let myself wait for that. So I guess we'll call that a win for entrepreneurship. But also, cut my landscape business short. Now that I think about that, that was awesome. I did the right thing. I didn't wait for enough information. I went with a little bit of information, a gut feeling, and immediately started making money. And then because of other issues, I had to give up the business and get a regular day job a few months later. So it lasted, I believe, it was less than a year. I don't know if it was quite 10 months, but I guess it showed me a couple different things. One, we'll focus on the positives first, and then we'll kind of hash it from the other side. So one of the best takeaways I got was I actually loved doing it, and I had more energy and more drive to do that business than any day job I've ever had. So check one for business ownership. And I'm going to call it entrepreneurship because it had the potential to be entrepreneurship. It was not, but it was closer than most anything else I've done because I was taking my ideas and implementing them, and I was iterating and doing some things much better as I went, and some things I never learned. And so that experiment, that iteration of me in business had to be cut short. But when I think about that, I'm glad I didn't waste any more time losing money. I'm glad for every second of learning and glad that I was able to create value for people, and I did a great job on a lot of projects. So there was a lot of value there. Ultimately, things I would do differently, hundreds of things I would do differently. Systems and procedures, probably if I could roll the dice, I would have spent a couple months in a class learning the industry, but even better, find a mentor in the industry and work for free for them. Honestly, that would have been the best thing I could have done. Work for free for someone for a few months, and hopefully catch a couple seasons, if not 4 seasons, of landscape in that area, and I'd have been so much better off. But also, it is important to just go with what you know and kind of shoot from the hip, and I'm very proud of myself for doing that. And I gotta be honest, that was such a shock to my personality that even though I loved it, when I eventually failed, when I eventually had to call it quits on the experiment, it only failed in the sense that I couldn't keep the business. It didn't fail in the sense of an entrepreneur's journey. It was actually one of my only bricks in that wall. I had very few bricks in that wall, and I'm very proud of that one. So I guess it proves that some of your biggest mistakes turn out to be your biggest learning opportunities, and if you can get over the pain, like I did, it took me some years, really. My cycle time was kind of long, you could say. It took me a while to get over that one and start something fresh, because to this day, I've only done 1, maybe 2 different solopreneur or freelance projects since then. So it did curb my style for a while, and I process things a lot differently now, and I can recover a lot quicker, and I would do things way different, and I guess I'll have to do another recording to get into that. But yay, that was a huge step in owning a business, and then learning more rapidly through owning a business for less than a year than almost any other way I can think of. And the number one thing I would have done differently is find an expert in that industry, in that area, to let me work, make some labor value for them, but learn their way of thinking so that I could think differently and grow in a much more profitable zone. And I think the longevity of my client relations and accounts would have been, I don't know, probably still running that business today had I reversed the order of those 2 things. So that's what I have. Have a great day.